Hey, it's me, NT, and welcome to my fourth in-depth walkthrough for the bosses of Hollow Knight, Silksong. Today we're looking at the first 5 bosses of Act 2, Cogwork Dancers, Trobbio, Savage Beastfly again, Broodmother, and the Unraveled. I'll show you where the boss is, how to prepare for it, and break down the techniques needed to defeat them. Here's the location of Cogwork Dancers, and the bench you'll start from. Now by this point in the game, I had gotten another spool of silk for a total of 4, but I still only had the 1 extra mask. For this fight, we're going to want to use the Wanderer's Crest and the Sting Shard, the Fractured Mask, and Weave Light, which is a new tool that boosts silk regeneration speed, the Compass, the Weighted Belt, and the Magnetite Brooch, which is our normal yellow tools. There are 2 Cogwork Dancers that waltz around the boss arena, and you're the third wheel that has to slot herself into their movements. More than any other boss so far, fighting the Cogwork Dancers is all about rhythm. You might even want to turn your audio up so you can hear the music better, since they attack to the beat. Stay on the ground, and whenever they come to your level, you can get 2 to 3 attacks off. Be especially careful not to dash into them or you'll take contact damage. A dancer has 2 basic attacks, which are thrust attacks and area attacks. Up and diagonal up are thrust attacks, as are left and right. However, left and right come out fast, especially after phase 1. When you see a left or right attack at ground level, immediately jump and pogo downwards to get either a parry or a hit. Down and diagonal down are area attacks, where the dancer will attack left and right at the same time. These attacks have a larger hitbox than you expect, so dash away from their landing spot to avoid damage. They also like to do an AoE in the center of the screen. The hitbox is shown by the circle their aiming lines make, and gets bigger in later phases. This attack is fairly easy to avoid though if you're staying on the ground. What seems like their most difficult attack to dodge is when they fill the screen with lines and then attack along them. To begin with, simply walk into a clear area, but starting at phase 2, they will also add a line along ground level. Now in phase 2, we have the same attacks, but faster. And when they do their screen-filling line attack, simply jump into a free area and float there until the attack ends, which only takes a few seconds. In phase 3, each dancer now attacks separately, one after the other. This essentially means that the moves in the dance are doubled, and so are the amount of attacks. Now you want to start using your Sting Shards. Ideally, you'll keep 1 out at each side of the screen, underneath the capsules that wind the dancers. Besides that, just continue what you've been doing, and try to keep up. After beating one dancer, it's tempting to panic when you see the other one being wound up again. But don't worry, phase 4 is just a victory lap. Not only is one dancer much easier to dodge, but they've also slowed down and have a huge vulnerability window if they attempt the center AoE. Calmly dismantle them. Here's the location of Trobbio and the bench you'll start from. Now at this point, I had gotten another spool of silk and I had sharpened my pen to +2. For this fight, we're going to use the Reaper's Crest and thumbtacks. For our blue tools, we're going to use the multi-binder and the warding bell because his attacks do a lot of damage, so that extra mask heal will come in handy. And we'll be using the same yellow tools as last time. Trobbio will start by leaping out from a trap door in the middle of the screen. Anytime he does this, it counts as an attack, so avoid it. Trobbio's favorite attack is to yell and make circles of sparkles appear, which explode soon after. Stay out of the circles and dash away if you need to. He'll also throw 3 bouncing firework shells up in an arc away from him. As long as you stay at his level or lower, you should have plenty of forewarning to see where they're going and how to avoid them. They bounce once, then hover in midair and start emitting smoke either horizontally or vertically. A second later, they'll explode, dealing damage along that line. It appears you can actually destroy these, but it also appears they immediately explode if you do that, and I didn't ever do it on purpose. There's also a variant of this attack where Trobbio will toss these out of a trap door, but since you should be giving trapdoors a wide berth at all times, you should still have the same amount of space to dodge. I found Trobbio's tornado attack so hard to dodge, I started hoping for good RNG where he didn't do it too much. He has a short tail where he spins around before being surrounded by a tornado and attacking along the ground. If Trobbio hits a wall during the attack, he reverses direction. After the attack ends, a tornado comes out of both sides of him and arcs upwards. You can avoid this tornado by jumping above him, or what I mostly did, by running away. After fighting him enough, I started to get a feel for when it was about time for him to do another tornado, and tried to stay away from him, but I never got to the point where I could consistently notice the telegraph and dodge it. By the way, you should expect to do a lot of chasing after Trobbio during this fight. When Trobbio does his equivalent of a roar, Phase 2 begins with his new attack, a series of fireworks that explodes upwards from trapdoors. Stay on the ground and avoid the trapdoors. This attack actually gives you a bit of a breather once you're in a safe place, and is a good chance for a heal. At this point, you should start tossing your thumbtacks on the left and right sides of the arena. His tornado will blow them away, but just put them back when he stops. Thankfully, Trobbio doesn't have that much health, and he'll favor you with a death scene when you beat him. It appears his final explosion doesn't do damage, but I don't like the look of those in the air, so stay on the ground. Here's the location of Savage Beastfly and the bench you'll start from. Note that you'll have to go the long way around to get to this bench, or the Savage Beastfly will attack you on the way. To access this fight, you'll need to accept the Savage Beastfly Wish in Bellheart. For this fight, we're going to be using the Reaper Crest and the Sting Shard. Our blue tools are going to be the Fractured Mask and the Magma Bell, and we'll be using the traditional yellow tools. That's right, now you have to fight Savage Beastfly in a lava arena. But I actually found this less frustrating than the first time you fight him, because the arena is bigger and he summons less mobs. Although these do shoot fire projectiles. Now when you start the fight, you can get a few hits off when he first appears. Savage Beastfly still has the same attack where he charges across the arena, then turns around and either tracks you or alternates his charge height. But now he doesn't have a wall to slam into, so there's no delay at the end of his charge. You'll want to pogo off him each time he charges, unless he's too high up to safely make the jump. Speaking of high up, if you need to heal in this fight, the best place to do it is at the apex of a pogo, high enough that it's difficult for the enemies to hit you. And he still has the same 3 ground pounds in a row, except this time he'll submerge whatever bit of land he pounds into. But since you can bait him into hitting whatever spot you want, lead him in a straight line down the platforms and counterattack whenever he lands. In Phase 2, Savage Beastfly can now summon 1 to 2 termites when he roars. These are flying enemies that spit fire at you, so it's a good thing we have a magma bell, and you want to get rid of them as quickly as you can. 1 physical strike and a full set of hits from a sting shard should take them out, and unlike the last Savage Beastfly, this one is a lot slower at summoning mobs, so it pays to get rid of them. Similar to the 4th chorus, if 5 pieces of ground are submerged, a second one will almost immediately reappear. Try to stay in the air and make your way to that last piece of ground if you can, but if you have to take a dive, at least all the ground should come back. Keep counterattacking and leaping up to do damage when you have the opportunity, and Savage Beastfly will die surprisingly quickly. Here's the location of Broodmother and the bench you'll start from. To access this fight, you'll need to accept the Wailing Mother wish in Songclave. At this point, I had another mask for a total of 7 health. I would suggest using the Reaper Crest and the 3-fold pin, the Polyp Pouch and the Weave Light, and our traditional yellow tools. Broodmother is an optional boss, and she is totally not worth it. First, you have to go through 3 waves of minions in a claustrophobic arena that doesn't even take up the whole screen. By the way, the little flies explode, so watch out for that. Second, Broodmother loves to fill the screen with things to dodge, and most of her attacks hit really hard. And what do you get for all this effort? Nothing but a heavy rosary necklace worth 220 rosaries, a reward so paltry it's downright insulting. Unless you're going for 100% or you're a masochist, you should just avoid this fight. If you decide to stick it out, you can try starting the fight with a Threadstorm attack if you have full health and silk, but you'll have to dodge out of the way faster than I did. Broodmother can spit out 1 to 2 globs of sticky saliva that stay on the ground for a short duration before disappearing. If you get caught, you'll be an easy target for her other attacks, so button mash to quickly free yourself. Her most damaging attack is when she throws her hands in the air like this and does 1 to 3 lunges. If you're close to her and stand still, she'll jump over you with her first attack. Whenever you're able, pogo attack off of her during these lunges and air dash away. This will be your most consistent method of dealing damage, so focus on attacking her here. Broodmother also likes to birth 1 to 2 explosive flies, which can make it very hard to move around in the arena. Try to kill them as soon as possible, and toss a 3-fold pin at them if there's too many. Your positioning for this fight is as far away from Broodmother as possible, so you have time to dodge. You can run up and hit her between attacks, or even stand under her and attack up, but standing under her is very risky because she drifts downwards before her lunge attacks and will hit for double contact damage. There's no warning for when Phase 2 starts, but Broodmother gains a new attack where she bounces around the arena. When she stretches her neck up like this, she's about to start rocketing around the arena like a balloon released. If you're keeping far enough away, you should have just enough time to run under her as she passes. If you haven't already been using your pins, now is the time to start. Try to keep her constantly poisoned, and toss a couple extra pins her way for good measure. You want this fight to end as quickly as possible. Here's the location of the Unraveled and the bench you'll start from. At this point, I got the Architect's Crest, and I suggested for this fight, and I'll tell you why in a second. For your red tools, you should be using 3-fold pin and the thumbtacks. For blue tools, you should equip the multi-binder and the polyp pouch. Because I got the Architect's Crest, I was able to unlock another vestigial crest, so I slotted the fractured mask into that. This time for yellow tools, I suggest the compass, the Ascendant's grip, and the magnetite brooch. Just like Broodmother, this boss requires you to fight through some enemy waves before it appears. But unlike the Broodmother, the Unraveled likes to disappear again partway through the fight and send some more waves at you. Make sure you begin the fight with a fully charged attack, and you should be able to kill the first enemy with 1 charge attack and 1 regular attack. The Architect's charge attack does incredible damage, particularly if you unleash it close to the enemy so all strikes connect. But it does take a while to charge, and your dodge options are somewhat limited while charging, so you should use normal attacks for remaining enemies in a wave. When the Unraveled appears, you can get 1 attack off before the roar. His main attack is a charge across the screen that is easy to dodge, but surprisingly difficult to avoid consistently. If you jump straight up with perfect timing and then air dash, he'll zoom under you, but he's so tall you have to hit the apex of your jump. The obvious solution is to pogo off him, but since the Architect's pogo has very short range, it's also pretty difficult to do. The best solution is to run to the nearest wall and launch yourself off of it, and you'll have a brief window to strike before the Unraveled goes back under. The Unraveled's secondary attack is to launch corpses at you. 1 corpse comes out in a straight line across the arena, while the other one is launched at an upward angle. So jump between the 2 or wall cling where they can't hit you. He can also choose to charge you after the projectile attack ends. Now, the best time to attack is right when the Unraveled appears. Hit him once with a normal attack and immediately run to the far wall, to either dodge the corpses he's going to shoot at you, or to launch yourself off the wall if he's charging. After you've dealt enough damage, the boss will flash white, disappear, and you'll have more waves of enemies to deal with. Make sure you start each wave with a charge attack and a regular melee to kill one of the enemies, and then you can focus on the survivor. Phase 2 starts when the spears in the arena sink into the floor. This is the Unraveled's 3rd attack, where spears shoot up from the floor, spin over to the side, and then drop down again. If you position yourself right next to a dust cloud, the spear will miss you going up, travel a fixed distance to the side, and then miss you going down, all without you moving again. When the Unraveled reappears, he can now summon 1 to 4 spears and can combine these summons with his own attacks. Sometimes this will pressure you into attacks you can't avoid, but if you keep in mind that the spears travel a fixed distance and are very predictable, it's not that bad. Also, if he appears in the center of the room, he's going to disappear again in the same place, so you don't have to worry about him charging. He'll now shoot out 3 corpses during his projectile attack, but you dodge them pretty much the same way. Run to the opposite side of the arena and jump over the corpse that is launched horizontally along the floor. When the Unraveled flashes and disappears again, you'll have more waves of enemies to fight. Toss some tacks on each side of the arena and charge your attack, then proceed as normal. From now until the end of the fight, you should start to use your tools freely. Dodge those last few spears, and you're done. I hope this video helped you out, or at least gave you an interesting look at some of the bosses. Act 2 has a lot of bosses to get through, but the next video I'm doing is on an unofficial boss called the Forum. If you'd like to see that video and my other in-depth boss walkthroughs, would you please subscribe and turn notifications on? And if you found this video super helpful and you want to support me, there's a Ko-Fi link in the description. Anyway, that's it for me this evening. I hope you're still enjoying Silksong, and bye!